to Season 2 of the Fairways People podcast, where we share inspiring stories, meaningful conversations, and the voices behind our charity. Each episode offers a closer look at the people and passion that drive us. Hosted by Fairways Managing Director Gareth Webb.
Hello, so welcome to another Fairways People podcast. So my name's Gareth Webb, Managing Director of Fairways. I'm actually a little bit anxious and a bit nervous about today's podcast because I have got someone external, and I've got the one and only Lauren MBE, the Paralympic gold medalist, triathlete. So welcome, Lauren. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So you've recently joined us as an ambassador for Fairways, which is really exciting about how you sort of support us moving forward as a charity. But what I'd like to really do, I've got loads of questions I just want to ask you. So if it's all right, we just go straight in, and I'd just love to learn a little bit about you and your background. So a bit about what your childhood and where you grew up, Lauren.
So I am originally from Peterborough, born and bred there. And first couple of years, I was there for school and we stayed there. As a youngster, we lived in South Africa for a little bit. But we came back in 99. And that's kind of where I think my earliest memories formed. I can remember being a year ahead of schooling because of the way South Africa works, but having to go to my first primary school, and I was so nervous. I actually still remember being sat on my mum's knee being like, I don't want to go here, I don't want to go here. But what was really lovely for me was that the headmistress of that primary school had told the students the day I went in a day late, and she'd made all the kids go around with one arm the day before I went in. So when I got to the school, no one was really like looking at my arm. They were all asking me like, how do you do this? How do you do that? Which was really lovely for a head teacher to have thought so far ahead. But yeah, so I was at a really small primary school, Great Gidding, only 70 students, just so that I guess it was more manageable for me as well, because everyone's very aware of disability now. You've got the Paralympics, you've got so many access to so much. The exposure on social media and television is higher. I didn't know any other disabled children when I was a child. So yeah, up in Peterborough, went to a normal college up there. Loved my sport from the get-go. Netball, hockey, rounders, all the things you do as a child. Absolutely loved it. Fell into my world of sports accidentally, to be honest. Felt sorry for the school teacher and put my hand up to say, I'll swim in your competition for you. And when I got to the swimming competition, there was a lady there that by chance had just stepped down from being the head coach of British disability swimming. And she took me under her wing, did all the Kellogg's levels that you used to do. I don't know if they still do those.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you get them on your towel and you stitch them in. And then she said, come do this with me. And then she put me in my first swimming club, which was called Piranhas, which I think is really cute. And then I think I was 11 years of age, went up to Sheffield, Ponds Forge swimming pool, did my first disability swimming competition, and was petrified. I remember my dad walking me up to right where the water was. I was so nervous. And then I was part of British Swimming after that. They sent me a letter. I was this young little 12-year-old with all these dreams suddenly opening up. Peterborough is where my career started, my dream started. And then over the years I've found myself in Portsmouth, and I would say Portsmouth's now home.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that's really interesting. So you said, like you say, it's more spoken about disabilities this sort of day and age, but growing up, how did you find that with your disability? Were you sort of, did you experience bullying or discrimination and sort of isolated in that sort of?
Yeah, I think I have heard stories far worse than mine. And I would have said that the one thing I have had is very, very supportive and guiding parents. So, even that one small decision to send me to a slightly smaller school, and that the teacher beforehand had sort of prepped the children for what it was like. When I went to big school, I got called names. I had a couple of incidences. I think that would be normal. I don't think it was disability specific. The one thing I think that was a saving grace for me or helped me to fit into the social groups was sport, because I was very good at your endurance running. By the end of my year 9, I was captain of the netball, hockey and the rounders team. So, I managed to change it from being the kid that's chosen last for something to we want Lauren. And I always remember there was a swimming competition and nobody knew that I was a swimmer outside of school. And I got in and I like blitzed everyone. And I can remember getting out and the swimming pool was silent and all these kids were like, and so strangely, I found my way through sport, which I'm a big advocate for. And not just sport, because you've got arts, dramas, technology, science, whatever your thing is, you can find a space in a social group. But there's been times where I felt alienated just because I maybe navigate life differently or I think differently. And when you're a child, you want the same shoes as everyone. You want to fit in. You want to be popular. No one wants to have those feelings where they're slightly left out. But then as you start to get towards like university and 18, you start realizing, I don't want to look like everyone else. I don't want to be like everyone else. So I sort of, when I'm in front of children now, I say to them, one day you will go for a job interview and there could be 500, 5,000 applicants. What will make you stand out? So the thing that you're trying to get rid of right now, whether that's, you have ginger hair or you're great at playing the piano or something that makes you unique, in about 10 years' time, you're going to need it because someone's going to look and be like, this person has a skill and, they've developed it. So I try and tell them, like, if you have something that makes you unique, hold on to it because you need it. But it's very hard. And I think we live in a different world now where kids are exposed to disability on a daily basis. Whereas back when I was a child, like, people just, they stared at me. And that's fine because when things are weird, I stare at it because I haven't seen it before. So I understand it as well, but it's got easier as I've got older.
Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. So, so you said you made your way to Portsmouth.
Yeah.
What did draw you to Portsmouth?
So I had gone to boarding school and then came university after A-levels. And I think everyone assumed that the Lauren the athlete would go to your Bath University, Loughborough, Stirling, all the big ones that are like your big hitters for sport. I'm a big believer in follow your gut. I don't think normally, if something's wrong because you got that feeling and you should probably listen to it. But I went round lots of different universities and then I came to Portsmouth. And I don't know what it was, whether it was the city, whether it was being by the sea. It's a city campus. So you don't feel like you're being pushed out of somewhere in a real random campus. And it's like integrated in the city centre. Purple is also my favourite colour. Don't think that was a deciding factor, but Portsmouth Uni uses purple. So yeah, and fairways. So I came to the sports department and Paul Tilley's actually holding the same position now as when I was here as a little 17-year-old. And he basically said, right, well, we don't have like an established sports program for you, but we'll help you create it. And, got me student halls that had car parking so I could get up early and I could go to my swim training at Mountbatten. Everything was made easy. I remember having the year of 2012 London Paralympics. The January was exam times. Well, British Swimming wanted a 4-week camp in South Africa to prep us. So they changed all of my exams to coursework. And I was just, this is the sort of thing that you need as an elite athlete. You don't want differences. You just want help in getting to the same destination. So yeah, I had a feel and did my undergrad here, my post-grad. I'm doing a PhD now, but I also fell in love with the city, got friends that weren't at university. And it just feels like home. It's the weirdest feeling, but I just, feels like home. Every time I come in over the bridge and you see like the sails and you see Spinnaker, I'm like, I'm home.
So how long have you lived in Portsmouth now?
I came here for my psychology degree in 2011. So.
Oh, yeah. So 15 years. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really glad I haven't got the accent.
Yeah. Right, mate, Squiddy.
Could you imagine?
No. Oh, that's funny. So obviously, like, you've achieved some amazing, amazing achievements that no one had ever ever would in our lifetime. You got the silver in Rio in 2016, and then you got the gold medal in Tokyo in 2020. So where did your professional career start in terms of athletic? Well, you started off as a swimmer, didn't you? And then you've switched to triathlon. Is that right?
Yeah. So we spoke about earlier, I was 11. British Swimming put me on their development program. And when I was 14, I was progressing really well, doing really well through the ranks. My mum and dad, mum works, dad has his own business. I have a little sister, and my dad was driving me from Peterborough to Biggleswade, which was 45-minute drive there, do the session, 45-minute drive home, morning and night. And sometimes it was the neighbor was taking me. Monday, I stayed at my grandma's on a Sunday, so she could take me Monday morning. So massive family commitment. Went to boarding school at the age of 14 for my GCSEs and A levels. Bit daunting because you're away from home. But the best thing was that the swimming pool was 50 meters from my bed. And what it allowed me to do was double the amount of training time I have. Still, my dad was very tough on your education is just as important as your sport, because you won't be an athlete one day. So it has to stay high. So went down there for, I think it was a year before Beijing. And if I was to tell you that, I can just remember, like, at the age of 14, praying for Saturday afternoons, because that would be the end of the week's training and I would just sleep
Yeah.
all afternoon. So yeah, big jump in training, managed to qualify for Beijing Games. I was really young. I finished 9th, which I think in hindsight, I look back now and I'm really proud of little Lauren. But at the time I was like one position off of being in a final, like you walk out so yeah, I think that fueled me. So then I continued for another 4 years. And in that 4 years was when I transferred up to Portsmouth. It was a year and a half before London Games. So then I was with North Sea. And I have I wasn't a very good student for the first, like freshers, you're supposed to like not really study and you're supposed to just enjoy
Wow.
life. You're supposed to study, but
Yeah.
but I just remember like one morning, Harry Law, right in Guildhall was where my halls were. And I got out at 4:15, was going down to my little KA, and my friend Hannah walked in with her massive Domino's pizza, all happy, and she popped this big red kiss on my cheek. And she was like, "Night," and I was like, "Good morning." Like, but these are the sacrifices, you could call
Yeah.
them, that I was making just because it was the year of London. So yeah, went to London Games, chuffed there. I got into 2 finals. 5th was my highest position, which I think if you look at my trajectory, I've always gone one position better at each games, but it still niggled at me, like 5th in the world. Like, I know that was fantastic. But I would tried so hard. And I guess it's the same. Every athlete tries hard, but you feel as though you want something that shows you're going in the direction you want. And I would have loved to have got a medal. So then British Triathlon approached me after London and said, I don't think you could call it poaching, but just said, do you want to try a triathlon? And I did it, borrowed someone's bike. The brakes weren't adapted. I had this wetsuit on and the sleeve was like really low. It was disastrous, but I came 2nd in the UK. And I was like, oh, I mean, this was really painful. Like, I've gone from racing for a minute to racing for an hour and 10. But then they flew me 6 weeks after London to New Zealand for the World Championships. I was actually really ill there, but I came 5th and I thought, well, I've just trained like 8 years for 5th place in swimming, and I've done 6 weeks of training and I've just come 5th in the world. Like, maybe I've got something here. It was really hard to transition because I felt like I hadn't achieved what I wanted in swimming, and that's like left just lurking there. But now when I look back, as you mentioned, with my medals, my world titles, European titles, it was definitely the right decision for me.
So that so to switch from the swimming to the triathlon and I guess doing the cycling and running, did you do that sort of training anyway, or was it just naturally? It's a different fitness, isn't it? But
yeah, I think sometimes when I came home from school in holidays, my dad always ran, so I'd run with him. And I always knew how to ride a bike, but I'd never ridden a road bike. And I'd probably say the first 3 years of triathlon, like, I ran like a baby elephant, like I was like just like boom, boom. It wasn't very efficient, like just hustling. And then it takes time to learn how to ride a bike. People think that you just get on it instantly. I'm going to say 4 years to ride the way I ride now is what it took. So a lot of things, everyone wants instant gratification these days, and sport can be quite humbling, in particular endurance sports, because you have to give yourself a big base to get to the next levels. But everyone wants to go straight up. So it was hard just because I had to be patient. And I sit here now, when did I transfer? 2012. So 14 years later as a triathlete, and I'm still learning how to run, believe it or not, but there's always progression, and that's what people forget.
It's so technical, isn't it? You don't realise, like, it's like them. It's about those small marginal gains that make such a difference. But
Yes.
yeah, interest. I'll let you into a little secret. I used to swim for Portsmouth North Sea.
Did you?
Yeah, but I only made it to the tadpole group, which was at one end.
Oh, bless you.
At one end of the swimming pool. But what and I sort of, I've always done some sport and left, and I was a lip charge more about learning to swim properly. But you'd get the I guess the club swimmers at the other end in Victoria swimming days. That pool was there, but the rate, like, I think it's got to be one of the toughest training regimes. They were like up for 2 hours before school and then back after school. It's like crazy.
I've thought about it a lot, because I think it's because I'm now 33. I keep calling my mum and I'm like, Mum, I don't know how I did it. Like I have no idea how I was always tired, but I always got it done. And I was able to then go to school all day and then do another 2 hours, then go to bed and repeat. And honestly, like, and I think that's where swimming, or sport in general, but swimming in particular, taught me discipline, time management, like efficiency, because you can't skive, like it's just intense. And for parents, like I said to my mum and dad, like the amount of commitment, Dad, like you were up as well. He was like, oh, I just read my Jeremy Clarkson book on poolside while you were like, but still, like if I have a kid anytime soon and it's like, I want to be a swimmer, I'd be like, are you sure? Like,
you're 100% right. The things that, you know, having family around you and friends to support them commitment is massive.
Yeah.
So what's been some of your highs and lows of your career then? Because I know you, I remember seeing your talk at Portsmouth Business Awards a few years back, and your video that you put on the screen really captured it for me. I think the battles of mental health and what you go through, the lows and then the highs. So what's been the couple that stand out for you during your career?
I think everyone would always probably look at my accolades and think, wow, what a successful career. And it has been. But there were probably fewer of the high moments than there were the low moments. Like there's been more lows than highs. I think just personality style, like I'll use that as fuel. I won't really talk about it much, but I do know that as a swimmer, like I really was giving 110%. Like there wasn't anything I didn't do. And I never quite got the results that reflected the amount of effort in. Looking now, I'm like, okay, well, I was a great swimmer, and that's meant that it's enabled me to become an even better triathlete. But I think sometimes accepting that you might not be good at something, but it's because you haven't found your other thing. We fight that as humans. We like to prove to ourselves, no, we can do it. So changing direction is okay. I guess then came with the successes of 2 world championships. And we went into Rio Games and I swam the wrong way. Like that was a fault of my own. I have mixed feelings on this now. At the time, I can just remember disengaging from sport, being furious, angry, resentful for everything. Looking back, I mean, if any other athlete in that field did what I did and then still came away with a silver medal, I don't think anyone could have done it. And I look at that and I'm like, well, in that moment when it happened, I went, shit, but I didn't panic. I just was like, you need to get back to the front. You have a job to do. Like, this is what you need to do. The hardest part was on the run because it was like 38 degrees. The sun was pounding. I'd used everything I had to get back to the lead in the swim. I remember hearing the American come and I was like, I'm dead. I'm empty. I can't respond to her. She's going to overtake me. And that was really painful. 7 months after, didn't do any sport. Really, really just hung my shoes. I was like, I'm not doing any more sport. And then my coach said, listen, you have the biggest engine I've ever seen in an athlete. You've never truly got the chance to show what you're capable of. Can you give me one more chance? I sat there and I was like, there's a risk to take, you're being vulnerable again. You got to trial that again. And then we decided to go for it. And then really glad I did. I was a different girl racing in Tokyo, cool, calm, collected, knew what I had to do, had made peace with if I won, it was great. If not, you tried your best, which is lovely to be. And then probably the next hardest part, which I never expected in a million years, was what happens when you get a gold medal. I'd never thought about it. I spent 17 years hunting the gold medal. I never thought what happens when you get it. And we flew home from Tokyo, had a little barbecue celebration party. And then the next day, mum and dad went to work. My sister wasn't there. And I just sat staring at the dog. I was like, okay, well, this is a nice medal. Do we go for a walk? Like, no training plans. I hadn't even, are you retiring, Lauren? Are you staying? What's your second career? And basically loss of purpose, loss of identity. And then I was like, oh my gosh, all my sponsors, they're not going to want to work with me if I say that I'm struggling and I don't. So it was just like this. I got myself really upset. And then I finally spoke out. British Triathlon supported me. All my sponsors were like, you've earned it, have a break. And I was like, wow, these people, they actually care. So it was really great for me to have that time off. Did I completely get over those feelings? I'm not sure. My personality is when I've achieved something, I'm like, what's next? So I found it very hard to be defending champion because I have other things that I want to do. And I'm like, I'm very good at this, but I need to do this. So still working through that. I turned up to Paris, I managed to find a way. I was going to go to defend the gold and then got long COVID and I was really ill. But then that taught me another lesson, which was like how fragile we are. And actually I was grateful for the opportunity. So loads of learning curves. But I think the greatest one is that I can look on a whole career and be like, it's been so great.
Yeah. No, absolutely. A few things you said there made my ears go on then when you talked about reflecting, especially in Rio and like the determination. But you're right. It's you hear that a lot, don't you? Especially amongst elite athletes. You look at some sad cases recently. You get to your pinnacle, and it's like you've worked all these years to get, and then you get it, and then sort of everyone carries on as normal, and it's like what? And I think it's like you're on this treadmill, and you're chasing this adrenaline and all, and then it sort of comes to a stop, I guess, and the impact that can have on you. It's it's
a fine line because I feel like saying, and this is what some of my research in the PhD is. So it's sort of like, do we need to be running our second career alongside our first one? But I will say I'm juggling that at the moment and it's so hard. Mentally, I'm frazzled. But the girl that went into Tokyo to deliver that gold medal for us could not have had anything else on her agenda but that performance. So it's a fine line between prepare for your future, but to get a gold medal takes everything you have.
Yeah, I know. I can imagine. Like you say, you see athletes in the public eye or on the TV, but you don't see all the work and the lows, and what goes into that and the sacrifices. But thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. So you've also dabbled in a bit of the celebrity world as well, Lauren. I remember watching you on Strictly. And I watched you on SAS as well. And actually, I watched the SAS model last night, funny enough. Did you do the interrogation part? No. There's definitely on live TV now. The final was last night.
Because
but the interrogation. That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Did you do the interrogation part?
Yeah. So I was in there for 13 hours. And cross legs and just put your arms like this now with one finger on your head. Both of them. This was the position with your legs crossed, sat on the floor. And I can already feel the little muscles in my shoulder. That was one of them. And then on the wall, feet spread like a star. And then you were only allowed your fingertips on the wall. And I can remember falling asleep standing up because your knees buckle and you catch yourself and you go back to holding. Like, it's the weirdest feeling. So yeah, that, and then screaming babies and like chalk being along
Great.
the
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, they tried to like soak us with cold water, set some dogs on us.
It's
Yeah.
brutal. It's
The
disgusting.
actual
It's
thing,
brutal.
it is. But the actual thing that I didn't like, which really surprised me, was I didn't mind the male interrogators, but
Yeah.
the female interrogator I did not like.
No, that come across last night on the TV actually. That
Yeah,
when
like,
the female against female, it was like you could see him really breaking, bless him. But
yeah,
yes, and you got right through to the final, didn't you?
I did. I passed it.
Wow, that is amazing. The resilience and the hard work, and I guess I assume that comes from you as an athlete and determination. Do you think?
Yeah, I think a lot of the physical things I was more equipped for than some of the other candidates, just because endurance sport requires you to go to a place that's not very nice and stay there. And I think my brain works a little different. And I can remember when they submerged us in the North Sea, we were freezing, but then they got us out and they ran us really hard up and down and making us do all these assault thingies on the beach. Now, the athlete in me says, well, you've just lowered my core body temperature and my heart really low. So what is the aim of this? The aim is to bring my heart rate back up and get as warm as possible. But when you think like that, you understand what's going on. So I was there. I was like, charging. I need to get my heart rate up. I need to get my heart rate up.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's a different way of thinking other than I'm exhausted. Why are you now making me run up and down this? So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just the different ways of thinking. And I did a few things in interrogation. So I had clocked every day that the sun was rising at 7 a.m. So, and I'd also clocked that we were getting water. So I decided 1 hour to count. And basically every hour they were giving us water. So I knew, right, well, we've been in 5 hours at this point. So
Wow.
I waited until I thought it was 7 and I was like, oh, I need the toilet. So they let me out and I was like, oh, it's still dark. Okay, so we're roughly like, so I waited another hour and then I was really awkward and I was like, I'm really sorry. I think my period has started. And the guy was like, come on then, come. And I went outside and it was light. So then I was able to tell, like, now I know that we've been in here 8 hours. So yeah.
Tactics, I like that.
But he was so grossed out at me being like, I think my period has started.
Brilliant. I love that.
Yeah, it was funny.
They know one thing I want to ask. You know when you talk about like physically, it's more about the mental state rather than the physical. But I think is it true when you physically you can't, that it's more your mental state can take over and you can continue? Because I just can't get my head around that. But
Yeah, so your brain controls your legs. So it's more than likely that your brain will give out before your legs have given out. So I often say to them, if you use positive psychology or, confidence-based reliability. So this is why as an athlete, you'll train specifically to hit a certain target or pace. Any given day, your body might not turn up. Like, that is a thing as well. Like, I've turned up thinking this is going to be a cracking race. And then I've been like, because sometimes it's just maybe you didn't sleep well and you can't control that. But the things you can control, you try and do your best at. I am very much a believer of one more meter, 10 more meters. Like, if you're on a run and it's hurting, like, let's just say to yourself then, right, 40 seconds. And then when you get to 40 seconds, ask yourself once more. Like, it's always going to hurt. You're always going to have doubts, all of those things. But what you can do is find a way to try and push them.
yeah,
In Tokyo, my coach said to me, he was like, the top 4 girls are really good. And it's very likely you could be neck and neck. He was like, so you need to remember that everyone's in pain. So he said, you have to be able to tolerate the pain better than anyone else. So that's the actual race, is who can handle the pain for as long as possible.
oh, crazy. Yeah. Okay, that's a good way of putting it. Okay, so in terms of celebrity world, that was a little while ago. You got any plans? Would you ever enter the celebrity world again and do anything on TV, or are you too busy? Or
I am quite busy at the minute with lots of things. I really enjoy leading by example is probably the wrong way of saying it, but sort of if you have the exposure and you're at the forefront, like I love what I did on Strictly because it showcased what somebody with one arm is capable of doing. And, if there is, and there are a bunch of them, I've met lots of them, but all those children that are born with a limb difference, to watch the likes of myself, of other athletes, Paralympians, whoever's going forward, somebody with a disability going on national television, you're giving them a voice. You're giving them an example of what is possible. You're helping to change other people's narratives on disability. So I would like to do a little bit more TV work. I have so many big plans for myself that hopefully if I can slot them in my time, I'll do them. But just because I think increased exposure, showing people what I can do, not for anything other than the little Laurens that might be watching. That's probably the people that I want to watch.
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant, that inspiration. And you mentioned earlier about a PhD. So are you close to finishing that, or where's that at?
I wish, Gareth, that I was close to finishing it. Life seems to be constantly coming at me, which I'm learning as an adult. And actually, when you step out of that little athlete bubble, because when you're an athlete, it literally is like you can be so alienated and specific. It's just train, eat, sleep, repeat. That's what it takes. And I've stepped out and I'm like, right, okay, so there's train, eat, sleep, repeat, PhD, leadership course, building a brand. And I'm like, I need another 2 days in the week. It's not long enough. So yeah, PhD, I have some incredible participants and I've had some great stories come my way. So I'm in the analytical phase, but I'm really finding it hard to find time. I am doing it part-time, but the athlete in me likes to be efficient and I would like to be doing it quicker than I am. But again, Portsmouth Uni are being great with me. They understand all the commitments I have. So I think I've got quite a busy next few weeks, but after that, I'd like to think that maybe I can sit and knuckle down a bit more.
What's the title of your thesis, or what's your aim in that?
So, mapping mental health narratives in our Olympians and Paralympians. So I'm looking at the stories that the Olympians and Paralympians told about their mental health the year of Paris 2024. So from January 2024 to January 2025. I've got some stories from basically all of them throughout the year. And it's just good to see. And it's quite similar across all of them in that January is a little bit January blues and back off of Christmas. Then it's like, oh, this is our final hard training block. Oh, we're coming into sort of like early race season now. A couple of them still trying to qualify. Then you sort of get where training, the hours get less, skills get more specific, and they're coming back up prepping for the games. And then they're at the games, they're firing, and then you either got a high or a low, depending on how they think their games has gone. Then you've got the rest period. So it's just really interesting just to see.
Yeah.
And also just understand how each of them have handled setbacks or what has gone well, what hasn't gone well, where their federations have supported them or they feel they've let them down. It's just going to be really interesting for everyone to hear everyone else's stories.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's great that you can sort of expose that and sort of shine a bit of light on the challenges in mental health in what elite athletes face. So no, that'd be exciting. So I look forward to reading that in the future.
Yeah, hopefully not too far away.
So we connected probably a couple of years ago, but last year you decided to join Fairways as an ambassador, voluntary, which is fantastic. So what made you come on board, Lauren? Why did you choose Fairways?
Very nice man called Gareth had a coffee with me and explained to me the work that Fairways does. I guess for me, I don't know if the word's lucky, but I think I'm going to use the word lucky enough to have a very, very secure, tight family. And for me, family has meant everything in my life. My grandma was a social care worker and she practically did residential units up in Peterborough. So I often remember there was one summer where my grandma, it was my first job really. I wrote up my grandma's notes and it was my first sort of exposure to what I guess different family dynamics can look like. And I think for me, having lived my life through the lens of disability, it's never quite been like a mainstream upbringing for me. I've dealt with things that are slightly different, been exposed to different personalities, different way of doing things. So I'm fully aware of what it can feel like to perhaps be in a minority group. So when you came on board and told me that I could help have an impact on changing lives, I already tried to do that through television work, being a Paralympian, all of the things where you can have a voice where some mothers may not feel strong enough to, but raise awareness and in general, just try and encourage more support where it's actually needed. Titan, go. Lay down. These are my doggies. Go to bed. Dan. Bed.
What dogs have you got, Lauren?
Do you know what's really embarrassing? And it's fine. It's with you. I was on live to 60,000 people on a conference call, and he did this to a cat. And I only had 7 minutes with them. And I was like, I am so sorry. Look, we can show him there now. He's on his naughty chair.
Oh, bless
Look
him.
at him. Naughty. But anyway, back to your original question of why be an ambassador. It gives me a chance to use my profile and leverage the community in Portsmouth. I'm very passionate about seeing change here. The demographic in general here, there are a lot of people that need support and guidance and just, I guess, someone to listen to sometimes, and just that, there are a lot of things in life that aren't always the best. So let's have a look at the positive things, what we can do to create change. And yesterday, obviously, I went around all of your sites and kind of gave me a warm feeling, because I actually got to firsthand see what environment you create, the culture you've created in all of the different aspects of the business. And I don't know, it felt really heartwarming just to see that actually there are some good people in the world, Gareth. So just to be able to raise the awareness of what you guys do means a lot to me.
Thank you, and I appreciate the feedback. We like to think, and I think we know we've got our staff are amazing, and the stuff they do each day. But when people come in and see that as well, that are new to the environment, and that's the first thing they say is fantastic. So thank you, Lauren, and really, really appreciate you coming on board, and excited about us doing some events together in the future. So thank you. I just want to finish on one last question. I ask this to all my guests because the chaos of everyday life, and we know the impact of mental health at the moment on people's lives. So what do you do for your own well-being and your own mental health? What do you suggest?
And do you know what's really strange is that's a great question. And I was actually thinking this morning, so I have got very good at noticing when perhaps I'm a little bit overwhelmed. So yesterday and today, I've been feeling a little bit rushed and higher heart rate, and as though I can't quite keep up. So I was actually in the car today and I was thinking, what can I do to reset myself so that I feel calibrated to then actually not feel overwhelmed, but feel in control? And strangely for me, I don't really have time for this, but I'm going to prioritize it, is reading a book and go and basically let's just step away for a bit to step back in. Because lots of things I would say to people is, can you get outdoors? Can you do exercise? Can you eat well? Which when you're an elite athlete, you do those anyway. So it's like, I can't, if anything, they're what causes me the stress. But strangely, like it's the opposite way round. But for me in the evenings, cooking meals from scratch, social time. Like yesterday, I wanted to probably have a bit of an earlier night, because everyone always thinks, oh, let me just scroll on my phone. Let me do some stuff. And actually the hour extra you could get by going to bed earlier and actively saying, right, phone, you stay there, and switching off helps you. But sitting with these two dogs on the couch and they're snoring their heads off, but I just feel really complete in that moment. So yeah, it's your general wellness and all the things you do with consistency. So that is eating well, it is sleeping. And if it's getting a bit much, write it down. Like people don't know the power of this. Like if you go into bed and you're just constantly thinking, write it down. You can pick it up tomorrow, but put it down for now.
Definitely, yeah. No, I love that. So making some time for yourself and, just switching off with a book or being in the moment, I get. Like you say,
I had a couple of CEOs that I've been speaking to the last couple of weeks, and all of them give themselves, whether it's weekly or fortnightly, a personal appointment on a Friday afternoon. And basically, no one's allowed to ask any questions as to what that personal appointment is, but it's actually, I go to the park, I do this, I meet my mum for this. So actually scheduling in, if you have that busy lifestyle, schedule it in, and it's a non-negotiable.
I like that. Yeah, that's a good idea. Just
Yeah, I mean,
making
it's
sure.
naughty because I feel like it's on personal company time, but if it
Yeah,
keeps them afloat,
it's what makes you more effective, doesn't it, at work? So,
yeah.
well, Lauren, thank you so much for your time. It's been such a pleasure. Lovely to talk a little bit about your background and your career as well as an athlete. So, thank you, and I wish you all the best, and hopefully catch up soon.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.